A lot of times people think that if a muscle is tight, well, I need to stretch it because it's tight. Well, yes, you need to stretch it, but you need to go deeper. You need to assess, why is the muscle tight? Usually, if a muscle is tight, it can be tight for a couple of reasons, right? It can be tight because you just did a hard workout and now it's stiff and sore, and so then you foam roll it and work out the kinks and the knots, right? The other major reason that your muscle could be tight is because it's actually weak. Hey guys, Aaron Kubitz, personal trainer at Functional Aesthetics EC, helping average guys perform better inside and outside the gym. So today's video, I just want to share a quick little tip with you here, especially for guys who spend a lot of time sitting down all day. Now, this is something that I've become more aware of as I've transitioned more into a full-time role in my fitness business. Before, I was working half and half, so I had a sort of labor, a manual labor sort of job, and then in the evening I'd do my other kind of stuff. Now, as I've said in other videos, when you have these active kind of jobs, you're already kind of getting your zone 2 cardio in, and you're getting your mobility work in as well. You're also getting some muscular endurance work in, and so you don't really need a lot of a warm-up when you go to the gym. You're already pretty warmed up. You can rapidly get up to your heavy weights and just start cracking. Now, the inspiration for this video is something that I was experiencing actually today, and I'd been having various different forms of this for a while. So for example, my back would get stiff, and I'd also be having some tension up in my butt here, and I'd try like the piriformis stretch and the glute stretch and all this kind of stuff. And I also have this in my shoulder. I'm not going to make this about the shoulder video as well, but I'd have a little bit of clicking in my left shoulder. Now, I'm right hand dominant, so my right hand is more technically proficient, and it also gets a higher volume of training. So if you think you can't build muscle with a lot of reps, you actually can, because if you think about, you're just using that muscle all the time, right? And it gets bigger even if you're not lifting a lot of weight with it. So a lot of times people think that if a muscle is tight, well, I need to stretch it because it's tight. Well, yes, you need to stretch it, but you need to go deeper. You need to assess, why is the muscle tight? Usually, if a muscle is tight, it can be tight for a couple of reasons, right? It can be tight because you just did a hard workout and now it's stiff and sore, and so then you foam roll it and work out the kinks and the knots, right? The other major reason that your muscle could be tight is because it's actually weak. And when the body senses that there's instability or weakness in a joint, it's going to want to try to provide more stability around that area. So for example, if somebody got like a shoulder injury or something, or if you get any sort of injury around the body, you tend to become more tense and tight around that area naturally. And even like the swelling that happens if you sprain your ankle, that's the body trying to provide more stability around that joint. So the same thing can happen. If the muscle is really, really weak, then it can get tight simply just trying to protect it from getting damaged. And so, yes, you do need to stretch it, but you also need to work on strengthening it. So in the case of my shoulder clicking around, not only am I doing rotator cuff exercises and as well as stretches and things like that, and stretching my chest and stretching my shoulder, which tend to get a little bit more tight, stretching the triceps, which ties in here, stretch your lats, all those things. But an excellent way to strengthen up that shoulder capsule is simply just to hang. So you can hang from two arms, but if it's specifically on one side, hang from one arm. Just hang there, and when your grip starts to slip a little bit, don't fight it too much, just stop. Walk around a little bit. If you feel like you still got a little bit more energy in that arm, do another set. Do that a couple times a week, and you will be, it's a great way, functional way to build up your forearms and increase the health of your shoulder joint and get rid of a little bit of that. So back to the main topic here. I was talking about how I had some tightness in my butt muscles, right? And just kind of like this nagging pain, and if I go out to run or something, I just felt like there was pulling and everything, right? And so then it reminded me of something that I've gotten away from a little bit as I was doing my business, because I said before, I was working a job and then I'd come home and I was working some more. Sometimes I was training some clients late in the night. And so my workouts tended to be very abbreviated. Just your compound movements: squat, deadlift, bench press, overhead press, maybe do some rows, maybe do some pull-ups, maybe do some biceps curls, and not a whole lot else, right? Whereas when I first started out my training, it was very well-rounded. I'd have multiple lunges in multiple different planes. I'd be doing abduction, adduction work, external rotation, rotational work for the core, rotational work from the ground up, all these different dynamic sort of movements that are very functional and need to be incorporated into your routines, especially if you do not work manual labor type of job. All right, so by now you're saying, Aaron, that's great, but what is your point? What do I do about this? Glad you asked. So one thing that I would recommend is doing a sort of a dynamic warm-up when you get to the gym. This can be either like, if you're doing upper body stuff, you can, and this is actually a great way to get in some low-grade cardiovascular work as well. One of the reasons that I actually like to practice doing Olympic lifting drills, even when it's just with the bar or very lightweight, is because it's not only a great way to increase your mobility and work all the little small muscles in your back and little muscles in the hips and stuff like that in the groin area, it's also a good way to increase your cardiovascular exercise. It's a great way for lifters to get some cardiovascular exercise. It's like doing barbell complexes, where you basically just use a light weight and you do multiple sets with very little rest in between. But in this case, you're actually perfecting a skill as well. One thing, so the exercise that I have been doing for my butt here, which I used to do all the time but got away from doing, is a drop lunge. And I like to, in this instance, I'm doing it to the rear. So and you can step to the front or you can step to the back. And in this case, since I want to stretch my butt and focus more on that instead of my quads, then I'm going to want to step to the rear. So stepping back like this. And the thing is, though, we're not too concerned about how many reps we're getting done. We're not too concerned about how much weight we're using. And we're definitely not concerned with how fast we're going. Instead, we want to go nice and slow. You can go a little bit faster on the way down, but make sure you pause, stretch it out. And a good way to make sure that you're not going too fast is to make sure that is to time it with the pace of your breathing. Take a deep breath in, all the way in. On the way down, pause for a second, let it fill your lungs up, and then come back up. And that is a great way to work your glute medius, get that external rotation component. So not only are you working the knots out of your butt which come from sitting too much, you're also building up that muscle a little bit there, and you're increasing your mobility in that joint, increasing your proprioception in the lower leg, and your balance, and strengthening up all the little muscles like the peroneals and stuff in your calf muscles here. Alright guys, super quick video. Hopefully you enjoyed it and got some value out of it. If you did, hit the like button. And if you'd like to see more information related to workout design for building muscle, increasing strength, increasing your athletic performance, working around injuries, and preventing them if you end up getting an injury, then consider subscribing to the channel for more health and fitness tips. See y'all next time.